Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How you doing tonight, Psycho?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, kind of interesting week in the world of wrestling.
That it has been.
I
Not as interesting as last week.
Yeah, but just as impactful. I mean, well, maybe. I guess it depends on your viewpoint there.
I mean, it's true. So, with all that being said, guys, tonight we're going to go ahead and give you our review of the 2024 Royal Rumble. I mean, can't blame me for thinking it was a 2023 Royal Rumble, seeing as how it ended, but we'll get there. That being said, guys, before we do that, we are going to continue our new feature on the show, which is the Wrestling World of the Week. All the crazy crap that happens in wrestling in the week, since it's been becoming a common occurrence. So, this week in wrestling, Psycho.
Yes. So, I guess we can start with the change in WrestleMania plans, I guess,
Right.
due to injuries and other things going on in the world of wrestling. So we'll start with my favorite topic, CM Punk. Oh my gosh. Like, I cannot believe he got injured again. Like,
3 major injuries in 14 months.
and here's the thing, okay? It's like, and I mean, that guy has the worst luck. I mean, he's basically like, other than that stint where he came back to AEW and was on Collision, until he got fired, like his 2 previous matches in the world title matches, he won the AEW World Championship, got injured, had to vacate it, and
Broke his foot.
yeah, and then I think didn't he tear his tricep the last time?
On the other side.
On the other side. And now he has his first televised match for the WWE in the Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble should be a match that you don't have, it's not a crazy match, where you would get injured. So it really, I hate to say it, but these things aren't going to get better, because when your body starts breaking down like that, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that he recovers from this completely and, this is a distant memory. But as history has shown us, when your body starts breaking down, you don't get healthier as you get older. It's kind of like Kobe Bryant in when he was in the NBA, when he got that ACL tear and everything. He I think it was his Achilles tendon, if I'm not mistaken, but he didn't have any injuries really, and then he got that and he was never the same again, right? And the injuries kept piling up. Same thing with Punk. It's like he can't even do the Rumble, and so there's going to be a lot of people, and they're already saying it, they're bringing up the Moxley promo of where he talked about Punk, fragile mind, fragile body. And it's really sad to me, because he was doing well as far as how he was drumming up interest, and he was going to main event night 1 of WrestleMania by all accounts. And now, well, we need a new main event.
Yeah, he was definitely slated to be in WrestleMania. Everyone's assuming that it would have been a main event. Who knows? They did say that the planned winner of the Royal Rumble did not change. So it's not that he was going to win it.
Sure.
And the injury, when it happened from McIntyre, giving him his double arm DDT that he does, the Future Shock DDT,
Yep.
and it's a simple bump, like it's a simple face bump. I mean, that being said, I've seen people, break their necks on the DDT that was just a simple bump. So, injuries can happen at any time. It's just an odd place for it to happen. And it was even on the outside arm, right? So when he took the DDT, it was his outside arm when he was planting that it was his tricep that ripped. And you see it instantly. As soon as he rolls off from McIntyre, he grabs it.
Yeah, I was hoping that it wasn't as serious. I was hoping maybe, I mean, he was hurt. He finished the match, which we'll get to. But gosh, now we've got Seth Rollins, who's also really banged up. And he's having to force, fight through it to get to WrestleMania. And now he was probably supposed to wrestle CM Punk. And now we've got Seth Rollins. I don't really know who he faces. I have my prediction.
Oh yeah?
I think it has to be Gunther. And that just makes the most sense. And Gunther, they have that built-in story there. And apparently Gunther's opponent for WrestleMania isn't going to be there of what was originally rumored. So, Brock Lesnar, who was supposed to make his return by all accounts at the Royal Rumble, did not.
Yes, he was replaced with Braun Breaker.
Yes, yep. So Braun Breaker got all of his spots, and I mean Braun Breaker, it's going to benefit him because now he's going to get. I don't know if he was originally supposed to get called up to the main roster, but he's there now, and he's going to get basically I don't know if, because I know I guess a rumor was that Brock Lesnar was going to start a program with Dominic Mysterio. And he was going to face Dominic at Elimination Chamber and then go on to face Gunther at WrestleMania, is what I had heard. And now Braun Breaker basically got all the same eliminations that Brock was going to get in the Rumble and moved up to the main roster. And so now it's going to be Braun Breaker and Dominic, it looks like, for Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting match for like a whole program with him and Dominic, or Tom and Nick, as R-Truth would say.
Yes. I don't know if that means that Braun Breaker would go on to face Gunther I don't know. I don't know if I would do that, just because you either have to put Braun Breaker over, which would be a massive push for Braun Breaker if he wins the Intercontinental title and dethrones Gunther, or you have Gunther win and Braun Breaker's first big high profile thing is a loss. And I don't know if they want to do that right out of the gate.
Yeah. I would probably have it where you would do a small program with Dominic and then go built into Elimination Chamber. Like maybe like a match, maybe his first match on SmackDown is against Dominic, and then have it where he does go against Gunther at Elimination Chamber. The hard part with it is based off of what we learned from Raw. Braun Breaker is going to SmackDown, where Gunther is on Raw.
Right, so that doesn't seem like that's the plan then. The only other challenger, by the way, for Seth Rollins, the only other one that would make any sense is Drew McIntyre.
Yes,
that is a possibility.
I think Drew is the best choice because, and I'm guessing you didn't watch the weeklies.
I didn't. I read something, and I watched some parts. I watched as usual. I watched the Punk promo.
Well, did you watch the Seth Rollins Cody
I
Rhodes
didn't watch it. I read about it.
Okay. So in that promo, Seth did an amazing job selling the fact that there is really a second option for him to go for. Like Cody was coming out to 100% be like, I'm going after the WWE title or the Universal title to go to take on Roman. Like that was 100% the way it was going to be done. Seth comes out and be like, "Look, nobody cares about that title. The owner of that title is not even here anymore. I've made this title. This is the workhorse title. This is the Dusty Rhodes title," and did a great job selling it to make it give you doubt that which one he's going to go for. He's 100% going against Roman, but it gives you that doubt,
Right.
which is a really good job. And I think that's where they'll build a new elimination chamber to allow whoever wins that to go against Seth.
Yeah,
So.
and I think, I mean, barring them completely shaking things up and having Cody go for Seth and then Rock and Roman, that's the only other possible thing they could do. I don't know if that would be best, because Cody, him pivoting at this point would, even if he were to go against Seth and win that title, I don't think it would mean as much as him dethroning Roman. I don't know. It's a tough spot because they've got to make some big changes, obviously. And if Punk was going to beat Seth Rollins, if that was the plan, what do you do now? Because does that mean that whoever they do put against Seth wins the belt? Especially if Seth Rollins is banged up and he needs time off or something.
Yep.
I would think so, which means that whoever wasn't going to get the title is going to get a run with it. Same thing with Braun Breaker, taking the Brock spot. People are going to capitalize on these opportunities. When somebody goes down, it's next man up.
Yep. And you have to 100% when you're the next man up, like give 300% to show that you deserve this spot over who was supposed to be there. Kofi and Mustafa Ali, right? We got Kofi Mania because Mustafa got hurt.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker is going to be huge. I do think that he should be the guy to dethrone Gunther. And having Gunther have a run at the title would be great. But I don't know if it would happen at WrestleMania. I think he loses the IC title at WrestleMania. So I think he keeps it till then.
Yeah.
I don't see any better option in that, unless for some reason he loses it not on a pay-per-view going into the Elimination Chamber and then puts himself into the Elimination Chamber to win it. But that title deserves a PLE loss.
Yeah, instead of him just like going and winning the heavyweight title and then vacating it.
Exactly. So I think Drew is the best option. That being said, Seth is totally taking time off after he loses at WrestleMania, because I'm pretty sure what's happened is Seth was essentially the okay to do one match while he's recovering, and he's still gonna need to recover.
Yeah,
So.
he's making it to WrestleMania, to put somebody over. Just don't know who that person is, and we probably won't know until Elimination Chamber. When they pull the trigger on that, they'll probably keep that pretty close to the vest, so to speak. Another thing that happened this week, so they've shaken up the Raw and SmackDown announce teams again, right? You want to cover that?
Yeah. So, what's his name? Fitzpatrick, or Kirkpatrick, whatever his name was. The former
Kevin, right? It's Kevin
Patrick. Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin Patrick was the former color commentator for Raw. Had been on SmackDown, recently got moved to Raw, and then was not only removed from that duty this last week, but was actually let go from the company altogether. And then you had Michael Cole come back in, with the returning Pat McAfee being his partner in the chair with him, where Wade Barrett would normally sit. That does bring up the question of everything else, because we haven't seen what NXT and SmackDown are going to be like following this. So I'm intrigued to see how it's going to play out. If Kevin Patrick leaving has caused Wade Barrett to also ostensibly lose a position that he was doing really good in. But we have Pat McAfee back, which is always entertaining.
Well, did you hear what the SmackDown announce team is?
No, I haven't heard any of that yet.
So I heard Wade Barrett is going to SmackDown, and it's going to be him and Corey Graves on SmackDown.
Oh, so we don't have any traditional color commentary.
Yeah, I don't know how that'll work, right?
Or,
I don't know.
Sorry, play-by-play is what I meant, not color commentary.
Yeah, who would be the? Because those are both color guys. So that's what I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I read, is that Wade is teaming up with Corey Graves on SmackDown. Which is kind of weird because they both kind of lean towards the heelish side too. So there's not really, I don't know. Maybe I just kind of glanced at that and thought that I saw that. So if I'm wrong,
Well, your
I'm
other
wrong.
option is Vic Jones on NXT to come up.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I guess we'll know for sure on Friday.
You can always have Byron Saxton do it.
Oh my gosh, no. Please don't. And then the last thing, news-wise, before we get in the Rumble, since speaking of, you talked about how Kevin Patrick was, relieved of his duty. Speaking of duty, that brings us to Vince McMahon. I'm not gonna cover that, but nice little segue there.
He's in a big pile of duty right now.
Yes, he is. Yes, that's a way to say it. Since we did our show last week, we were mistaken that Vince McMahon was still a chairman, or on the board for TKO, and then he resigned after Slim Jim had pulled their sponsorship, or paused their sponsorship, for the Royal Rumble. And then Vince McMahon resigns out of respect for the WWE, although he denies the allegations, and he says he's going to vigorously fight it. And so Slim Jim comes back on after he resigns, and it's been crazy. Like, the more and more I read about, and hear, because I haven't went through the entire lawsuit, but I've watched, or I've listened to podcasts and everything where people have talked about, line by line, and I always hear something new that's come out on it. And Vince McMahon's in trouble because, not just Vince though, not just Vince. John Laurinaitis is named in the lawsuit. I mean,
4 execs are named in the lawsuit, but not actually named.
Not named yet. But there's a lot of speculation over who those 4 execs are. I mean, I think some of them resigned already, and I think they left. That's just my thought. I think that they saw the writing on the wall. My opinion.
Yeah, I think that on Sunday or Saturday.
Yep, and I think that people were leaving because they didn't want. They basically were, all right, time to peace out. Right, I'm gone before this gets worse for me.
Yeah, they were done.
Exactly, they were done. And then the former UFC champion, he was gone. And yeah, it's crazy. And I think there's going to be kind of a ripple effect here, because when they, I've been reading things that TKO is going to, they might get rid of anybody that was close to Vince. there's some people that I expect to be gone. But there's also, I really hope that like they don't completely, you know, get rid of people that like Triple H or something, because that would be horrible for the company.
I think unless H is named specifically, I think he's fine.
Yeah. I hope so. Even though, I mean, he's the son-in-law of Vince, so it's like, I don't know, you know. One thing that's interesting though is that this is the first time in as long as we've been alive that there is not a single McMahon in the WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, Triple H is close, right? He's married to a McMahon.
A McMahon by association.
Right.
Uh, it is interesting though that you're right. Like since pretty much the inception of the WWF,
Yeah.
there's always been a McMahon involved, and the closest thing we have is an H, and uh, hopefully it stays that way because I think he's doing a fantastic job with booking and everything else. They are going to do they have to do a house cleaning.
Mhm.
There was a massive text message sent out
Mhm.
when Vince resigned that a bunch of or everybody got, including former WWE talent, like the Bellas,
Mhm.
had received it and stuff like that. And they have an actual interesting side with it because their stepfather is John Laurinaitis.
Right. Ooh. I don't. Can you imagine the conversations that are being had in that household right now? Like,
Probably loud and shouty.
same thing as in a certain former UFC champion's household, I bet. But I think, I mean, the Bellas put out a statement. Did you see that?
Yes, it did. Yeah, they were. Their statement was pretty simple about what it was. If I remember right, it was something to the effect of uh, saddened for what's happened, surprised about what's happened. We're going to, love everybody that we can. We're not siding with anybody, family or otherwise. Like it
Yeah.
essentially was. We're surprised. We're keeping our hands clean.
Yeah. They did say, though, that they don't condone, you know, it doesn't, they stand with the, you know, with the women.
Mhm.
And that they don't, it doesn't matter who you are, they'll stand against it.
Mhm.
So I would not be surprised at all to hear a divorce in the future. But who knows, right? Who knows? But oh my gosh, like I think that this is just the beginning too, though. I feel like there's going to be a lot more releases, like you said, cleaning house, and I feel like more names are going to be brought out and more
Yep.
allegations, because Vince McMahon, this was just one of the, the women that he paid money to sign an NDA.
Oh, allegedly.
Allegedly. I
So,
mean, it's, yes, according to the lawsuit, right? This is, but allegedly there's like $17 million that's been paid out, and she was only paid 1 million. She was supposed to get paid 3 million, allegedly, in the
which is what
lawsuit.
I'm hearing about this.
Right. Which,
And the ironic thing is, uh, the lawsuit is essentially just for paying the remainder of the NDA plus damages, right?
mhm,
And so she's not suing him directly for the problems that occurred,
mhm,
like, right? Mind you, she's using or she's bringing it up and everything else, and by no means are we saying that it's a good thing or like any of that.
mhm.
Like, right? We're not siding with McMahon by any means. We're not condoning any of that. It's just interesting that she's decided to sue him because the NDA wasn't completed, uh, and not do it before having to sign an NDA.
That's the crazy thing, though, is that Vince has the money. Like, that was just the only thing I can think of is just ego, like power, thinking, oh, stop paying her, and I don't know.
Did he though? He did. Remember, towards the middle of last year, he liquidated a bunch of his stock and
You
assets
think it was to pay
for
these?
thing,
I mean, it was 2 million, and I think he liquidated like $750 million of stock. I think there's 2 million in there somewhere, to pay this.
quite possibly. But my point being is like he did it for some project,
Yeah, well, I mean, she's claiming
right?
she never got it, so that's why she can talk about it. If she got her money, then this wouldn't be happening. At least, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think you're right, though. I think we are going to hear about more, and I think a precedent
Mhm.
will be having to be stated about
Right.
NDAs and the fact that they shouldn't be able to hide such a thing,
I've never heard more about NDAs in my life than in the last year. Like, what?
right?
Like like now, like I've never heard, like, people in the wrestling industry, they do shoot interviews and they do all these interviews, and now this last year it's like, oh, they can't talk about it. They've got signed an NDA for life, and these women have signed NDA. I thought it was just a Tony Khan thing, but no, it's a Vince thing too. It's like, what the heck? I've never heard of these NDAs before, and now everybody's doing them. It must be the new fad or something. I don't get it.
It might be the way to work around the Flair style lawsuits.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's like, you'd think Flair would have had some people sign some NDAs back in the day. Who knows? But um,
He was wheeling and dealing just in the wrong way.
yeah, yep.
So, with all that being said, expect more
Uh,
horrible news of this to come up and for us to talk about it every episode,
Probably, because I
probably.
bet you there's going to be stuff dropping every week. It seems like, um,
Yeah,
never, the news never sleeps in the wrestling industry. At least not this year.
it's
All
true.
right, so Royal Rumble. Okay, so obviously the Royal Rumble started with the women's Royal Rumble match. Um, and I better get my order here of people so we can run this down. And so this isn't you know,
It's going to be a long episode since we have two of these. So let's
yep,
just kind of
brief.
not breeze through, but kind of give like the big highlights.
Yes. So number 1, um uh number 1 was Bailey, right? No, Bailey wasn't number 1.
Nope,
Natty, thank you.
Natty.
So Natalia was number 1. And it was, my thoughts when Natalia came out, I was like, okay, she's a ring general there. She's going to they usually have somebody start the match that can kind of direct traffic. Um
And also has the stamina to go, and Natty's got stamina for
yes,
days.
I mean, so it was good, get her out there to help. And then you've got number 2 returning to the WWE fresh off of her TNA stint, was Naomi. Um so what did you think of her return? I know you didn't consider it too much of a surprise because it was pretty much a given that she was coming. So, but it was still a cool moment, I thought.
It was, and happily, she did come out second for it because it does give it more importance to the return. It gives her a bigger moment for that return because she can take her time and there's not other stuff going on in the ring, right? It gave that moment. The only thing I might have liked to see better would have been having her come out first, especially for as long as she went. She actually broke the record first that Rhea set last year for the longest time in the ring,
Mhm.
before it was eventually broke by the winner. Uh,
Yes.
So,
And speaking of the winner, sorry, spoilers, guys. Number 3 coming out is Bailey. Uh, my gosh, so she had the Ric Flair spot here,
mhm,
as far as, Ric Flair was number 3 in the 1992 Royal Rumble and lasted until the end to win it. And here's Bailey, um, and that was my prediction to win it because I feel like she was due, and she had the storyline to back it up with the whole damage control storyline going on right now. And yeah, I think she did awesome in this Rumble.
great.
Um, and I, we'll talk about it at the end, but yeah, it was. She has the stamina too to
Oh
start
yeah,
at number 3, and she ends up breaking the record that Naomi sets. I hear that the Rumble actually went long though, longer than they had planned, and
yeah.
so I don't know if they meant for both of them to break it back to back, or if that was just time management, going wrong there. Um, so number 4 is Candice LeRae. I've always been a fan of Candice LeRae from her.
I laugh too because you're like, oh my gosh, she's returning. It's like, no, she's been there. They just haven't done anything with her.
Right. They haven't done. I loved her in NXT though when she was doing all the stuff with her husband Johnny Gargano.
Yeah,
Um, and I thought her heel run in NXT with Johnny Gargano was really awesome.
which is funny because she was pregnant for like 80% of that.
It was, yeah, but yeah, I think that she is very underutilized, and I think they should do more with her.
Agreed.
Um, so then you've got number 5, um, Jordan Grace, the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion.
Yep.
This one was a big surprise, and it was a nice one.
Agreed. Personally, I think it was the biggest surprise of the night.
Agreed.
For me, it. So we had last year. We had Mickey James, who was TNA Knockouts champion, come in, but that one kind of plays in that line because she's a former, WWE diva.
Right, she had ties to WWE.
Exactly.
This one, Jordan Grace has never wrestled for the WWE, never wrestled for NXT. So to have her brought in with the belt, with the
Yep.
TNA championship, and them acknowledging, mentioning on commentary that she's the TNA Knockouts champion,
And she went like 45 minutes.
they gave her a great showing.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't have had a better showing for somebody that's not sticking around.
Yeah.
I heard that this might be the start of something, where they do something where more, they do this more often, or maybe they send some WWE talent down to TNA. I heard Natalia wants to go down, she's open to going there and facing Jordan Grace down there. So really
I think
interesting.
like that. Yeah, I think the ability of sending down unused talent, like we were talking just a second ago about Candice LeRae. I think Candice LeRae would have a fantastic time in TNA doing stuff down there, and not directly having it like a NXT style thing, like letting it be its own, but allowing more fans to see both products. And also, Jordan Grace had a huge pop when she came out. People were losing their mind when she was the surprise entrance. And I follow her on Instagram. And she could not be more humble about it and like thankful to the WWE for giving her the opportunity.
Yeah, it was crazy because she looked absolutely jacked. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
we had
mean,
the opportunity to meet her many years ago.
yes,
And she's in the best look she's ever had.
she looked like a star for
Yeah,
100%. she carried herself like a star, and this won't be the last that we see of Jordan Grace in a WWE ring. I'm calling it right now. I think that they saw enough that when her contract is up in TNA, I could very easily see her, making her way over to WWE, and doing some stuff there, because she just looked like she fit in. She did not look like, it's from another wrestling promotion and the styles, it's a clash of styles, or something like that. And funny story, I heard that Pat McAfee, on commentary, I read an interview that he did where when Jordan Grace came out, he had no idea who that was. And so he's like looking, like, who is this, and like trying to look for the name of Jordan Grace, and Michael Cole and Corey Graves are just like, oh my, and Pat McAfee just kind of followed, like, oh yeah, oh my, and he had no idea who she was. So just kind of funny. Yeah, it's like, follow the lead. It's like everybody else knows who she is. Pretend.
Right. Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Kind of funny. So, and her Jordan Grace and Naomi had a little, a cool little moment, because Naomi lost the TNA Knockouts Championship to Jordan Grace, and so
Yeah.
they hugged in the ring, and it was a pretty cool moment. I heard that Naomi didn't know that Jordan Grace was going to be part of this until they did the rehearsals like a couple of nights prior. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
she was kind of confused, like, wait, what are you doing here? Because she just left there, with her. It's like, wait a minute, am I in the right locker room? Like,
Right.
kind of funny. So number 6, Indy Hartwell.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was let's see here.
It was also the first one out too.
Yes, she was. But you know what? She got to be in it. So, a spot's a spot, and she did have a
That's
little
true.
bit of a showing.
Yeah.
So
Like she didn't rush in, rush
right,
right back
right.
out. She was in there for
Yeah,
like a few minutes.
like, honestly, they let a lot of people come in. They let a lot of women come in before they had the first elimination. It was starting to get a little boggled down, and I know that we were like commenting, like, oh, so who's going to come in and clean house, right? Because they usually don't let that many people come in before there's an elimination.
Yep.
And then they have number 7 is Asuka. And yeah, India gets thrown out here shortly after Asuka's in there. Bailey basically, I think it was Bailey and Asuka eliminated Indy. And then number 8 is Ivy Nile. I don't know a lot about her. She's from NXT, right?
She was. She's on Raw
That's right.
now with the Creed brothers. She hasn't. I think she's had 2 singles matches on Raw right now. She's done well. Nothing to write home about. She did pretty well in
Mhm.
here. Her and Grace have a spot where they both do a couple of matching stalling suplexes
Yes.
on in this match that looked pretty good. Jordan's was better, but it still looked good.
Yeah. Number 9 is Katana Chance.
Yep.
And she's the former American Ninja Warrior, right?
Yep. Casey Catanzaro.
Yep. And so she's very like athletic. She does a
Yeah.
lot of her gymnastic stuff, and honestly, they need to do more with her. I know she just lost the tag titles, right?
Yeah, her and her partner, Ken Carter, lost it to Asuka and Kairi
Mhm.
Sane
On SmackDown.
2 weeks ago.
I think it was just the SmackDown right before the Rumble.
It was a SmackDown just before,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
So just a few days ago, right?
just
Last
before.
week.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So they need to do. I know, I know that she had the tag titles, but they need to do some more with her to make her a name because she she's talented, very talented. Um, and then you've got number 10 comes out, Bianca Belair. I'm a huge fan of Bianca Belair. Are you still not a fan of Bianca?
Not really. I can see why people like her. I'm just not a fan.
I honestly think she's a great representative of the WWE and for a woman because she like if you see her like when she does the talk shows and things like that, like she represents WWE very well. She
Oh,
comes off as very well spoken. She does a lot of make a wishes.
yeah.
Um honestly like she to me is kind of like a Miz like that can handle all that press work
Mm.
and she she looks the part. She looks like a star.
So, you and I have gone back and forth about different people, like Ricky Starks or Austin Theory, stuff like that.
Mhm,
I don't have my dislike for Bianca Belair, and I don't
mhm,
dislike her. I don't like her, if that makes sense. Um,
mhm,
I think she's got everything there. I don't know. There's something about her that just is not appealing to me, and I'm not sure what it is. Uh, I think it's dealing with her selling, and it's stuff that she can gain over time. She's still very green, right? She's only been with the company 4 years, 5 years, so she's still very green, and she does a lot of zero to hero when it comes to her selling. But there's something else that I just can't put my finger on. But she is the future of the women's division
mhm.
for the next 10 years.
I mean, she's been in the title match for WrestleMania like what the last 3
Yeah.
years. So I mean, they obviously have a lot of stock in her,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're very high on her. Um, yeah, I think she'll only get better too.
Interesting thought. The WWE's first appearance of her
Mhm,
was in the Mae Young's Battle Royal, or sorry, the Mae
mhm.
Young's not Battle
Class,
Royal Classic, which
yeah,
is
Mae
where
Young
we
Classic.
also found Dakota Kai uh, and
Mhm.
Rhea Ripley.
Yes, interesting. That yeah, a lot of stars in that. Yeah, go back and watch it on Peacock if you haven't seen it. I'm sure it's on there. Um, so next, number 11, Carrie Sane. Um,
Kyrie saying.
sorry, Kyrie Sane. You know how I am with the Japanese names. But although this one's a pretty easy one, I should get this one. Um, so yeah, the ring starts getting filled up here. Damage Control's teaming up quite a bit. Because we've got 3 of them in there now. They team up on Bianca. They get rid of Candice LeRae, who's next to be eliminated.
Yep.
Um, then you've got number 12, Tegan Knox.
Yep.
And she's okay. I don't know. That like I feel like she should be bigger than what she is. I don't know if it's just they're not utilizing her correctly or if there's just too many women and she doesn't have that spotlight.
I think
Um,
the biggest problem right now with the women's division
mhm,
compared to years ago is there are so many talented women, but not enough spots for those talented women. Uh, you would almost need to have some kind of proper women's mid card to be able
mhm,
to show off these other women. I think that's where Tegan Knox would thrive, is in that
mhm,
mid card. She did really well. Where the story they were doing with her and Natty in the tag title scene was really good that they had for a bit.
Mhm.
and I think that's where her home is going to be. I don't ever see her as a main event player,
Mhm.
but I can see her being a main event threat player, if that makes
Mhm.
like a Dolph Ziggler or
Mhm.
Nick Namath now.
Oh man, he's doing. He seems revitalized, by the way, in
Oh, yeah.
TNA by going there. Like honestly, TNA has buzz because that was the perfect pairing.
Mhm.
Just side little tangent there, but yeah, like I actually want to watch some TNA now because of that. So
Yeah, my wife actually started recording TNA since that's what on
mhm.
doing it before.
Yeah, so that's exciting times,
Mhm.
especially if WWE starts working with them. Um,
Well, imagine if
so
they brought him back through TNA,
right, right,
but had to do it as Nick Nemeth instead of Dolph Ziggler.
right. They could actually play that off really well. You know how he debuted as Dolph Ziggler? He'd introduce himself. He's like, "Hi, Dolph Ziggler," or whatever he's did. He introduced himself.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny to have him appear back on television and introduce himself as Nick Nemeth. That would just be funny. Kind of a full reintroducing himself. Um. So, and speaking of Tegan Knox and Natty. So like Jordan Grace like tries to power bomb Tegan Knox out of the ring, but
Yeah.
Natalia actually saves her for some reason, and then Tegan
They're a tag
Knox
team.
tossed, yeah, and then but then she tossed her out, right? So Tegan Knox tossed Natalia out. Um, so that's our next elimination. So kind of a little double cross, but I think it was
Natty
Natalia
tried to
going
do
to
it
throw her
first.
out. Yep,
Yeah.
tried to do it first. Yep, and then she turned it around. Um, and then Bailey gets rid of Tegan Knox. So Tegan Knox didn't last very long at all. In fact, you know, less than 90 seconds because it was before the next person came out. Kaden Carter is number 13. And she takes a long time to get to the ring. They do a really cool spot with Katana, where let's see, they no they threw let's see here. I think Katana did the spot where she didn't touch she didn't touch the floor. Her feet were like, was that not yet?
Nope. Well, they don't do that with her.
No, is it with Tegan Knox?
No, they did it with Kairi Sane.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so
Well,
she
we'll
throws.
get there. So as Carter's getting in,
Mhm.
they throw Katana Chance over, and Carter, who's a Chance's partner, is bent over at the apron,
Mm.
and Chance rolls on her back and rolls back in. The exact same spot that they were doing last year with Kofi and Xavier, except for
Mhm.
Carter and Chance actually did it well. So
Yes, it looked really, really good. And then let's see here, and Oscar gets eliminated here.
yep.
So Chelsea Green's number 14. I'm not going to announce her like Samantha.
Chelsea
There you
Green.
go. There you go. Um, but yeah, Chelsea Green lasts longer than she did the previous year, when she debuted or returned.
But she got a snot kicked out of her.
Yeah, yeah, she did good though. I think she had a much better showing in this Rumble.
Yep.
And then let's see here. Bianca Belair finally eliminates Jordan Grace. It was with her finisher basically to the outside.
Oh yeah,
Um,
on the apron.
yes, on the apron. Which is, gosh, Jordan Grace looked like a superstar, and the fact that that's how she got eliminated,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see that match between Jordan Grace and
Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair. That'll be. I'm saying it now. That could be a WrestleMania main event down the line. So
Could you imagine this year?
I don't think it's happening this year because
I don't think so either. But could you imagine?
this year probably not because Bianca Belair doesn't have the title. There's no reason for it to happen. Is what it is. Let's see. So then you've got Piper Niven comes in at number 15, so we're halfway through.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Chelsea Green got tossed out, but then Piper Niven catched her, did a funny spot where, she like teased that she was gonna drop her, and then she put her back on the steps to get back in the ring. Piper basically, he kind of corner splashed everybody, including Chelsea Green that kept getting in the way, and so she kept getting squashed. Kind of funny, but I'm gonna get these names wrong, but number 16, Xia Li. Yes. I know it's not Japanese name, but still. So and then she brings swords to the ring, but has to leave them in the aisle. Doesn't really do a lot. Zelina Vega is at number 17. We joked, that we were hoping that AJ Lee was going to come in, and have a spot. That would have been awesome. Sadly, it was not meant to be.
For those who don't know, Zelina Vega plays AJ Lee in Fighting with My Family, the Page movie, many years ago. So it would have been funny to have movie AJ Lee and actual AJ Lee against each other.
Yes, it would have been.
Especially if they I was hoping when we were talking about it, like in my mind, I was imagining having her come out in AJ's gear. If she came out in AJ's gear, AJ's coming out.
That would have been really cool. But not yet, I guess. I think I don't know if it'll ever happen. My gut says maybe.
This would have been the time to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say because I think that Punk was brand new coming back, and so they probably didn't want to have people question that or have that be an extra layer to his story at this point. Maybe next year.
Or you could have done the one-off. You could have just easily done a one-off.
You could have. You could have. But she's probably, I don't know. I know that she retired for a reason because of injuries. So maybe she wasn't in, ring shape to come back and look good. Who knows? I don't even know if they asked her. They might not have. So then you've got number 18, Maxine. Let's see here.
Yeah, Maxine was a rough one.
Yeah.
She needs a lot more work. She was definitely hired for her look and not her ability.
Yeah, I'm not even really. If I'm being honest, I don't really know who she is. Is she in NXT? No,
she's on the main roster. She's part of Alpha Academy.
Oh, that's right. I vaguely remember her.
Okay, but she was managing for a while. So when they brought up LA Knight from NXT, they brought him up as Max Dupree, an agent for models. And then they had the two model guys, Mansoor and Mace. And Maxine Dupree was also there as a valet for the models, who was Maxine Dupree. And then they dropped the Max Dupree when Vince left the first time and gave back LA Knight. But then she stayed on as the agent for, or the manager for the Maximum Male models and continued from that thing. Then they did a storyline where she thought Otis was a hot piece of something and wanted him as a model, and then left the male models and became part of Alpha Academy.
Got it. So we have Piper Niven eliminated Caden. And then number 19, Nia Jax. And she basically gets the spot where she cleans house and eliminates a bunch of people. She headbutts Xia Li out. She eliminates Nile. And then let's see here. Shotzi comes out at number 20 on the tank. And let's see. Maxine gets thrown out by Nia, I believe.
Yes, but this is right after they had that big spot where everybody did a big move on Nia, and then Nia just kind of didn't sell anything.
Yeah, pretty much. And let's see here. Then you've got Chelsea and Piper get eliminated by Nia. So Nia's, the biggest female left in the ring, or the most powerful. I want to try to be PC there.
Yes, she's the biggest threat.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. So then you've got Becky Lynch coming out at number 21. To a big pop.
Yeah, and she goes right for Nia Jax to start attacking her.
Yes.
Because of the storyline that they've been working with.
Yep. Let's see here. Becky Lynch comes out and eliminates Chelsea Green. Alba Fire is number 22. Let's see. Yada yada. Shayna Baszler comes out at number 23. Number 24 is Valhalla.
Which had a great spot because halfway walking down, Truth comes out. Truth comes out thinking it's the men's Royal Rumble, runs past Valhalla trying to figure out what the hell, and then is running around gets ready to run in the ring. And it's like, what's going on and everything else. And you had Adam Pearce and the ref stop him and be like, no, this is the women's. And he's like, those are women in there? And he's like, yes, those are women. Goes in there. And then Valhalla is trying to figure out what the hell, goes in, gets thrown right back out, and then tries to attack R-Truth after for doing the distraction and everything else. It was a great spot.
It was really great because of the camera work there, because they're, the ref or the, Adam Pearce and stuff, they're escorting, R-Truth back to the back. And then you see in the background Valhalla, like charging after him, and the referees are holding her back, and it's so subtle because you just see that cool visual in the background of her like coming at it's amazing. Already the camera works better after Kevin Dunn is not there. That's my opinion on that.
Right?
Yeah, amazing visual there. So then after that, sorry, my notes. Let's see here. Okay, so we have number 25, Michin, who used to be
Mia.
Yes. She's with Keith Lee, right?
Correct.
Yes.
They're married. But she's in gimmick. She's part of the OC.
Yeah. And then let's see here. Naomi eliminates Fire. Zoe Stark is number 26. And let's see here. Zoe eliminates Zelina Vega, and when she kicks her out onto Fire. Roxanne Perez is number 27. It's just kind of a lot of nothing. Let's see. Shayna Baszler gets eliminated by Nia Jax. Michin gets eliminated as well. Shotzi gets eliminated. Then you've got, okay, so number 28's a big one. You've got Jade Cargill making her
Yes.
WWE debut. And when she came out, she actually got a very good reaction from the crowd,
Yep.
and she looked like a superstar. Honestly, she looked like she had the star power where you could legitimately believe that she had a chance at winning this. Um,
Yeah.
and she comes out and woke up the crowd, uh, and she showed some power by hitting Nia Jax with a spine buster. And
But
yeah,
before you go too far, building up into
yeah,
this point, before this happens, I think there were 7 or 11 people. I think it was 11 people. Now I think about it, in the
mm,
ring trying to get Nia Jax
yes,
over the top rope. They're all working to do that, and Nia fights them all off. Right, which is paying an investment into the person that takes Nia Jax out.
mhm,
Right, which is building to Jay Cargill here. Not only takes out Nia Jax, but does it on her own by picking her
yes,
up and body slamming her out.
yes. It was a great spot, and made her look like $1,000,000. So
Mhm.
honestly, I think that was the biggest thing that Nia Jax could have done in this match, and that's probably why they made her look so strong in the beginning, so that Jade
Mhm.
Cargill could slam her out and get the rub, so to speak. So it was
Yep.
all to put over Jade Cargill, which great debut. But it wasn't over then. So number
No.
29, Tiffany Stratton comes out. And then last but not least, number 30 is Liv Morgan. Um,
The
yes,
returning Liv
returning
Morgan.
Liv Morgan, who looked really good. And she got a pretty good reaction too. Um,
Yep.
Zoe Stark gets eliminated. And then let's see here. Roxanne gets eliminated. And let's see. Jade and Becky Lynch go at it. And then Naomi charges, and Jade catches Naomi and let's see, and puts Becky Lynch out. So eliminates Becky Lynch and Naomi right after.
Mhm.
Let's see and then they basically Liv and let's see here. They're all fighting on the apron. Bailey basically shoves the other two off.
Liv and Jade Cargill being the other two.
Right. Liv and Jade Cargill. Yeah, shoves them off the apron,
Uh,
and after they were
Before you go
fighting,
that far,
mhm.
uh, before that, um, Tiffany Stratton and Bailey or Bianca Belair are actually fighting on the apron,
Mm.
and Bianca Belair Tiffany Stratton grabs Bianca's hair and pulls it so far down and angles herself down. It looks almost
Oh,
like Trent's shoulders are on the ground from like hanging down from the apron, pulling on the hair. And then I believe it was Bailey that ends up knocking Bianca down, which takes both of them out. And that was the last 5, I believe. And then we got to the last 3 here.
yeah, and yeah, really good stuff actually. And then yeah, Bailey shoves them off, wins the Rumble at 64 minutes and 57 seconds, setting the new longevity record that was broken by Naomi as well. So kind of crazy. Rhea
For
Rip-
the women.
yes, for the women, of course. Rhea Ripley, just said it last year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, um, I think this was an all right Rumble. I, the right person won. There were definitely some surprises in this Rumble. So I
Yeah.
think surprise wise, I think they did a good job mixing, surprises with established stars, and also with kind of the greener women to give them a shine and give them a moment. I thought it was all right. Not the best women's rumble I've ever seen, but it served its purpose.
I think everybody too kind of had their moment in the match for the most part.
Mhm.
I think everybody got a little bit more out of it than they went in with it. Uh, and like you mentioned, there was a lot more established stars in the men's than there were in the women's. And the women that weren't established, so like Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne
Mhm.
Perez, um, even like people like Chelsea Green, even though she was just a champion and things like that, they all had these times to shine. Xia Li, they had these moments in the match that they were able to do stuff with and get eyes on, which is exactly what you want the Rumble to do. So,
Yeah. Um, and I think the big winners in this match, besides Bailey, obviously, I'd say honestly, I'd say Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace. I think that they looked
yeah.
the best. Naomi as well. I think that she'll do good things out of this, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next with the women. They're getting a pretty good women's roster there back. Um, so next we've got the undisputed WWE World Universal Championship. Whatever. Um, you've got Roman Reigns defending against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight in a fatal 4-way match. They do when LA Knight, right before he comes out, they do the Slim Jim commercial, showing that Slim Jim did in fact go back into their deal, re-enter their deal. Um, and let's see here. This match, yeah, they basically this match was okay. They did some spots. I know that um they kind of did I know I'm probably going to skip over a lot here. Because it was kind of a lot to cover. But they did
Mm-hmm.
a spot where let's see, somebody was getting the pin. I want to say it was LA Knight, maybe. I know that Solo came out and broke it up. Um
Yeah.
yeah, and so Solo and I believe it's Solo and AJ Styles get into it, and Solo goes to basically spear him through the barricade on the outside in a cool spot, and like he moves and Solo goes through it. Samantha, the ring announcer, Samantha Irving, she almost got plowed into on that.
Yeah.
Like she was like, that's kind of scary because that could have went very badly. Um, but yeah, I mean, this match was okay. It's not the best 4-way, that I've ever seen. It's not even the best Roman Reigns 4-way that I've ever seen. To me, honestly, this was, I don't know. I was expecting it to be better. I thought it was there. Roman Reigns gets the win. It was kind of predictable. We said that it was either going to
Mm-hmm.
be LA Knight or AJ Styles taking the pin, and it was AJ Styles. Um, it was okay. I don't know, kind of slow. I don't know. Not much else for me to say about it. What's your opinion on it?
So the opening I liked because it was the three working together to take out Roman Reigns in
Yes,
this
that was cool.
pseudo pack of I don't care who wins as long as he doesn't win kind of scenario and everything
Mhm.
else. And I liked the opening. There was a nice RKO round robin spot where everybody took an RKO in different ways, which was nice. Uh, the biggest thing for me that took me out of the match actually was Solo coming out because there was no need, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could have easily had somebody else break up the pin instead of having Solo come out, and it just felt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And it also takes away because they had Solo come out to do this, but they ended up not using him because of it in the Rumble, where Solo could have easily been in the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
So it just it was a waste, right? That being said, I think this was placed the right place in the card
Mm-hmm.
because it was, though a multi-person match, it was a lot
Mm-hmm.
slower
Mm-hmm.
for what it was. And I think this is also a good match for Randy, still coming off of this massive back injury, to keep everything slow because he didn't have to do a lot, right? They had a really good spot where Randy and LA Knight were doing the belly to back onto the announce table with everybody until eventually Randy's like, "Oh yeah, good job," and then gave him one at the end. Like there was good spots, but the match as a whole wasn't good. It wasn't as good. If that makes sense.
And like to me, the match wasn't really memorable either. Like I'm not going to remember this match at all a year from now. Like
No.
it's I was expecting a lot more out of these guys. I thought it would be complete chaos, and Roman basically, barely eking out a victory or something like that to make everybody look good. And instead it was just, I don't know, to me the best way to describe this match is paint by numbers.
Yep.
It was something to pass time until we get to WrestleMania. So that's kind of my takeaway on that. So yeah, Roman wins, spears AJ. So then we get on to the US Championship match. Logan Paul defending against Kevin Owens. And I don't know how I feel about these there's too many champions right now that never defend their belts. Like they go months without a title defense.
Well, it's interesting because it's SmackDown only, right? Raw, you have Gunther, who's constantly defending his
Right.
belt, and you
Mhm.
got Seth, who's constantly defending his belt. But SmackDown, their champions aren't there, right? This is the real first defense for Logan Paul since beating Rey Mysterio like 2 months ago.
Yeah. Um yeah, I think Logan Paul's great though, so I think that I just wish he would at least be on every premium live event, every
Yeah.
PLE, because he's good enough when he shows up.
I
Much
think the
like
story
Roman
building
Reigns. Mhm.
right. I think the story building to this also did really well to help it because they did the tournament for number one contender over a couple of weeks. So it was able to build a simple story and allow this to work towards that without having to have Logan Paul there. That being said, they can't do that every PLE.
Mhm.
So
Well, with that being said, I think this was a really good match. I think honestly, if I had to say, I think that this was actually the best match of the night.
I would agree, but it's also very minimal to say that since it was a four match
It was a
card
four
and
match
two
card.
battle royals
Right.
or rumble
Right. So
style.
it's not saying a lot, but I do think that this was a very solid match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they actually have really good chemistry together, Kevin Owens and
Yeah.
Logan Paul. And the basic story, Logan Paul was going after the injured hand of Kevin Owens a lot.
Yeah.
And uh they did uh they did a lot of cool stuff in this match actually, until they basically they had a lot of interference towards the end too. You
Mm-hmm.
had Austin Theory and Grayson Waller running in. You also had one of Logan's entourage or his friends, running, a distraction on the outside. Um, so you had kind of this gaga there. Now, either Austin Theory or Grayson Waller, I forget which, they hand Logan some brass knuckles when the referee's back is dealing with all the other stuff going on. And then Kevin Owens rolls him up for 2 and actually grabs the knuckles from Logan Paul and knocks out Logan. And they do with a great timing of the spot where the referee is counting, he's counting 1, 2, and right before his hand comes down, I mean, it's so close that the crowd pops like it's the finish. The referee spots the brass knucks on Kevin Owens' hand and calls
and
for
camera work again,
disqualification.
like that perfect angle where you can
Yes.
see straight down the knucks and then the ref right behind it looking at the knucks. It was a great camera shot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, whoever took over for Kevin Dunn, in my book, they're doing a great job so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no shaky camera.
No.
It's not like you're watching the Blair Witch Project. So that's good. Other than the DQ, I think that it was a really good match with a good finish. And I could see this feud continuing and maybe them doing something at Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
Maybe even honestly, if they were going to do like a stipulation here, I would do like a brass knucks on a pole match. I hate to say it, but if you did a brass knuckles match where they had to climb, the pole to get the brass knucks to use on each other, it's kind of an old school, type of match stipulation, but it would make sense in the story.
In context, yeah.
Exactly.
I think they'll end up going street fight with
I
it.
can see that too.
So, I like the finish because this is the right way to use that DQ finish.
Yeah.
I had one big gripe with it the whole time, and it was because of the finish. The hand that Kevin Owens uses the brass knucks on with is the hand that that was damaged the whole time. And when you hit something with brass knucks, it hurts your hand just as much as when whatever you hit with it. So he didn't sell his hand in like pain of it because it needed to be there in view. So there was a little bit of a for me. Outside of that, I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, that does make sense. So now we've got what everybody really came here for. The men's Royal Rumble match. So to start, as soon as I get my notes pulled up here again. So you've got number 1, Jey Uso, who I called being number 1.
Did I say on the podcast? I know I said it later, but did I say the podcast it'd be really cool to have both of these two be 1 and 2?
I don't know if you said it on the podcast or if you just mentioned it to me off air, but you did mention that would be cool to have both brothers. And once you said that, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Especially once Jay came out, and then Jimmy. Before Jimmy came out, I knew. I was like, oh, that would make sense. So you've got Jimmy Uso number 2. So you get the the mega Usos explode. Something like that.
Real quick too, somebody brought this up and I hadn't thought about this at the time. Jimmy Uso was number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi was number 2.
Right.
And they're married.
Right. Yep. I'm sure that's a complete coincidence.
I'm sure it was too, but it's kind of an interesting coincidence.
It is. It's a nice bonding moment. And this also kind of brought back for me flashbacks of the very first Royal Rumble on pay-per-view where they had number 1, and number 2 be Demolition, and they squared off against each other, which was a great moment then. So, the Usos go at it, and until Grayson Waller's number 3, which is a great spot for him because they needed somebody that kind of go in there that kind of could get some heat, but also it's kind of almost a comedy. I don't know. It was a great spot for Grayson Waller.
I agree, and I liked what this part specifically starts. Through the rest of the match, while Jimmy is in there, Jimmy is high fiving everybody that attacks his brother and or tries to, and like happy and like dancing and stuff for anyone that hurts Jay, like attacks Jay. And this starts that with you have several people going through, including like Gunther and Otis and others that he like gets all excited and high fives or tries to high five with, right? Or like shake their hand. Even with this, like Jimmy tries to shake Waller's hand, and Waller's like, "No, bro, but we're good."
And Grayson Waller actually cuts a promo basically on the way to the ring because he has a microphone in his hand, basically doing his talk show on the way to the ring. And then you've got, and by the way, Jimmy's wearing a No Yeet shirt. If you saw that, so that's kind of funny. Andrade is number 4, which is a big return. It's expected, but it was still really cool to see him inserted here and be able to get that return on in a big match like the Rumble. So, and he looks good. He comes out with like the mask, and I think it was a good return for him. Carmelo Hayes is number 5 and eliminates, almost immediately eliminates Grayson Waller. So Grayson Waller is the first one out. I was kind of thinking that Grayson Waller would last longer than he did. I don't know, because I feel like they're high on him, but I guess he doesn't really need it to get his heat. So,
well, we were talking about this on Saturday, and Grayson Waller is ostensibly the New Age Miz, and he fits that role perfectly. Also, Carmelo Hayes has been having a battle with him and Austin Theory over the last month or so since Hayes has been brought up. So it was kind of the right person to take out Grayson Waller too.
Yeah. Really, really funny. It's like every time like somebody came out, like like Carmelo Hayes would come out, and I'd be like, is this the one that's married to Bianca Belair?
Which is funny because Montez Ford is the one that's married. Doesn't come out for the match, but comes out in the match to help out Bobby Lashley.
Yes, so kind of funny. It's like I don't know. I don't know who's married to who, to be honest. There's so many different relationships in wrestling.
But not every one of them have a TV show starting this Friday.
That is true. So number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura. So you've got he comes out, goes after Andrade. Santos Escobar is number 7. And they do actually some cool stuff, him and Andrade, where they look like they're going to team up, and Andrade basically is like no, and then actually eliminates Santos when Santos tried to throw him out. So almost kind of similar to the earlier spot in the women's match with Natalya. Yeah, and then Karrion Kross is number 8. I don't know about Karrion Kross. I was high on him in NXT, but I just feel like there's something missing. I don't know what it is. He's just, I don't think he's doing it for me.
I'm giving him a chance on this new run that they're doing because he's kind of leading the Authors of Pain.
Yeah,
it's Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. So I think there's an opportunity there to do something good with him, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I hope so. Number 9, Dominic Mysterio. Dirty Dom.
Tom and Nick Mysterio.
Yes. And Carlito's number 10. Let's see here. And Carlito does a spot where he actually he pulls the apple out of his trunks. Gross. And then he bites it, chews, and spits it at Escobar and throws him out. And I'm like, okay, that apple, like, I don't know how I would trust that apple. It's like to bite into it. I thought that's nasty. It's one thing to have Mr. Socko. You pull a sock out of your trunks and then you put it on and you stick it in someone else's mouth. But you're pulling that apple out of your trunks and then you're taking a bite out of it. I don't know. That's gross. But yeah. So yeah, he eliminates Escobar, and then you've got sorry, my notes here on my phone. There we go. So Bobby Lashley is number 11 and eliminates Karrion Kross. And then Authors of Pain basically eliminate Bobby Lashley. Yeah, they showed up and eliminated him. And then the Street Profits come out and they brawl with the Authors of Pain back to the dressing room. Ludwig Kaiser is number 12. And basically, saunters past the brawling tag teams there. Austin Theory is number 13. And has his stock dropped from when you were so high on him. I mean,
I think he still has opportunity.
Yeah, he still has an opportunity because he's still employed there, but at the same time, he doesn't look like he's on the rise to the main event.
Him and Grayson Waller are like magic together, like on the regular show. They're interesting to watch together. They entertain me, especially stuff they were doing with Kevin Owens. They're entertaining. Yeah, I was gonna throw shade at Ricky Starks, but there's no need.
Well, Ricky Starks, I don't know. He still has a tag championship, right?
Yeah, that he had to win because he was just in a match where somebody got hurt.
Yeah, so was Cody Rhodes. Just kidding. But
well, Cody Rhodes is slated to
yeah. Finn Balor's number 14. And then number 15 is finally Cody Rhodes coming out. We thought that he was going to clean house a little bit more than what actually happened because there was a lot of bodies piling up in there. He does throw out Austin Theory. And then number 16's Bronson Reed. He tosses Andrade out. Kofi Kingston's number 17. And let's see here. Cody does this cool spot with Shinsuke Nakamura where he does basically the crossroads while he's hanging through the ropes. So he kind of like clotheslines him on the middle rope, and that's how Shinsuke Nakamura gets eliminated. And then Kofi Kingston puts out Kaiser by kicking him out. Gunther's
which ties into the storyline they're doing. Ties into a storyline that they've been
doing. Then you have Gunther. Speaking of them, comes out at number 18, and he chops the heck out of people. Let's see here. So we get Cody and Gunther kind of having a little showdown here because they were the last two in last year's Royal Rumble.
There's a scene while Gunther's in there. You go too far, but this happens a little bit after that. But it just pops in my head. I had mentioned earlier that Jimmy's kind of high fiving and it's like dancing with every
Oh
person that
yeah.
like hurts
Mhm,
Jay. So Gunther comes
mhm,
in, chops Jay, and bumps him, and
mhm.
uh, Jimmy's all happy. He's like, "Hey, high five!" And like doing a little dance, boom, 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 and then eats a chop, eats it, bumps it, gets up, and slams the mat, all pissed off that nobody wants to high five him.
Yeah, it's pretty good on Jimmy. Um, let's see here, and then you've got Gunther. Gunther eliminates
Yep.
Kofi. No, uniques. Trying to stay in the match this time. You know, Kofi didn't have a spot this year.
Yeah, I think after last year's one, like Hopi, I don't know if they're like trying to limit what he can do or whatnot, because the last several he's kind of hurt himself after.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and it's been really sloppy, so it hasn't gone as
yeah,
planned. It kind of botched. So they probably are like, you know what, let's kill it. Um, yeah. So, which they don't need to do it every year because then it becomes
yep,
expected, right? Um, number 19 is Ivar. Let's see here. Braun Breaker is number 20. Which is kind of a surprise. I know you said it was kind of expected. You were pretty sure he was going to be in
yep,
this, but he's taken Brock Lesnar's place.
yeah.
So,
Like I was having him in it wasn't a surprise for me because I was expecting to see him. It was a surprise to find out that
mhm,
he initially wasn't and was the replacement for Brock.
mhm,
But I think it was the right person to do that role and get the eliminations and have the moments that he had in this match because of such.
mhm. I feel like if this was Vince still booking, and Brock was, they were going to take Brock off, he'd be like, Brock, Brock's off the show. Uh, who do we have that sounds kind of like Brock? Oh, Braun. Yeah, that sounds close. The fans won't notice. Throw him out there. Give him all the same spots. Um, yeah, and he actually does have a really good showing here. He's actually the one that throws Jimmy
Yep.
out, Jimmy Uso. And then he eliminates Finn Balor. And let's see here. Has a little bit of a showdown with Gunther. Um, Omos is number 21. Yeah, he comes out and he eliminates Bronson Reed. Let's see here. Oh, they do this great spot where Ivar's coming off with a crossbody and Braun spears him.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker spears him in midair and then tosses him out. Um, number 22 um is the you know somebody that returned on commentary earlier in the night, Pat McAfee. Um, and he seems surprised about it, and the announcers are like, yeah, get in there. And he basically does this spot where he tries to he gets in the ring, looks at the wrestlers and they're kind of looking at him, and he climbs out, and then he teases out that he's going in again. He gets in and he climbs out and he just jumps to the floor. He's like, nope. um I it Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of a waste of a spot
Yeah.
that they could have given to somebody else, because it really didn't add anything to the match whatsoever, in my opinion. Um,
Could imagine this, right? If instead
mhm.
of Pat McAfee, they would have had Solo. So take Solo out of the earlier,
Yeah.
put him here,
Mhm,
and then have the show off that the standoff show off between Braun and Omos, and then put Solo into that too.
mhm,
That would have been a great show off. And like Solo and Braun could be the future like big man fight that you want to see later on, like 3 or 4 years.
mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could have put him in. Where's Johnny Gargano? He could have been in
Yeah,
this,
or Tommaso
right?
Ciampa.
Yeah, yeah. I would have preferred anybody that. It was just a waste of a spot to me. So number 23 is JD McDonough. And let's see here. Braun Breaker beats the crap out of him
So Braun
on the way in.
on the way out, John, where JD McDonough is on his way down, Braun gets thrown out
Yes.
by, what was it, Omos? I can't remember who throws.
Yeah, so Braun eliminated Omos, and then Dominic eliminated Braun.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Right after.
And then
Yeah,
yeah,
then you had JD McDonough come in and he gets, speared or whatever on the way in. And which, I guess this was going to be Brock, that Dominic was going to throw him out and then he was going to go crazy, whatever. So then you've got number 24, R-Truth, legitimately this time, right? He found his way to the right Rumble.
right.
And he does this spot where he throws in JD, and Jay immediately eliminates him. So kind of a funny spot there.
Yeah.
And then he does, so R-Truth does this spot where he's in the corner and he's like calling for the hot tag from Dominic.
Yeah.
And Dominic, to his credit, actually is like reaching for the corner and finally like leaps and gets the hot tag.
Okay,
and
hold on. You got to sell this better. So what happens, right, is our truth is like reaching for the hot tag and getting the crowd pumped and everything else. And Dom's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a Rumble. And as he's yelling at him, Gunther comes up behind him and puts him in the sleeper, right? And so he's freaking out, like reaching for him at that point, and then finally breaks off the sleeper and then does the dive for it as if it was a true hot tag. Then R-Truth comes in and does his hero's comeback, which is John Cena. So he does flying shoulder tackle on Gunther, picks him up for the protoplex and drops him, and goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle. That doesn't work, but
right.
Great spot. It had me rolling on the ground laughing.
Yes, it was a great spot. R-Truth, he's perfect in these roles.
Yeah.
So number 25 is The Miz. And he comes out and kind of teams up with R-Truth, almost bringing back their
Awesome
their
Truth
tag team. Yeah, their Awesome Truth team,
which is also part of the storyline going on.
Okay. And then so Dominic hits The Miz with the 619, and we all thought the next person that was going to come out was going to be Rey Mysterio at this point. It would have made so much sense. That's another one. They could have had Rey Mysterio instead of Pat McAfee.
Depending on injury and return.
Sure, of course. Maybe it didn't work out that way. But instead, number 26 is Damian Priest. And he tosses R-Truth out to major heel heat. The fans did not like that. And then number 27 is CM Punk. So he comes out, wakes the crowd up again. And Dom goes right after him. And basically Punk tosses him out. So which is always a nice throwback, to when Dom was just a kid and Punk was feuding with his dad, feuding with Ray, and they did a lot of stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
And then number 28 is Ricochet. Doesn't really do too much. Gunther eliminates Miz. And then number 29 is Drew McIntyre. And he just completely tosses Ricochet across the ring with a suplex. here, and Jay's been in there, still this whole time, and he super kicks Gunther to the apron. But Cody actually eliminates Jay here. Which is really interesting that Cody would throw out Jay, because they've been, Cody's, in kayfabe, he's the one that brought Jay to Raw. And so
former tag champions together.
Right, exactly. So really interesting that, he did that. And then you've got number 30, and it's Sami Zayn. Right. And Sami comes out and goes right after Drew. Let's see. Ricochet gets eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Let's see here. And then they do this thing where basically everyone squares off and they all start slugging it out. Everyone hits their big moves. Sami Zayn eliminates Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre throws out Sami Zayn. So now we're left with the final four.
In this process too, during they're doing their round robin of finishes, Drew McIntyre hits Punk with his finish, and that's where Punk gets injured. Not saying that Drew did it and caused the injury, but it just happened to be where it happened.
Yes. Yeah, it's so Cody hits a Cody cutter on Gunther. Drew and Gunther chopping each other, or throwing chops at the baby faces. Let's see here. Drew Claymore kicks to Gunther and Cody. And then he's talking trash on CM Punk. And he's going to throw Punk out, and Punk eliminates Drew. And then let's see here. Cody puts on a headlock onto Gunther and basically eliminates Gunther over the ropes with the headlock.
Yep.
So now we're down to the final two. We've got Cody Rhodes and CM Punk.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because going real back just a little bit, Gunther can't seem to beat Cody Rhodes in a Rumble.
Yeah, not this year or last year for sure.
Nope.
So Punk actually hits some German suplexes on Cody Rhodes. Not the best looking Germans, but at this point he was injured. So I mean, he has his tricep tear, and he's trying to lift up Cody to do German suplexes. Probably not the best idea. And it seems like CM Punk was really blown up here, to be honest. I think this was longer than he had went in a long time. And he was injured.
Yeah, I mean, with injury, like no matter how tired you are, when you're hurt, it times that by 20 because you're just that much more pain. Your mind can't focus because of the injury. It's no fun.
Yep. Let's see here. And then Punk gets the GTS, the go to sleep. They're both down. And then he goes for another go to sleep, but Cody tries to pull him to the apron. And then Punk hits a pedigree on Cody.
Pepsi plunge.
Okay, sure. It wasn't quite off the top rope, so it doesn't. it's Pepsi Zero or something or whatever.
The no sugar Pepsi.
Yes, exactly. The no sugar Pepsi. So, and then it catches Punk saying to Cody, I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid, which is a great line. And then Cody goes, Punk goes for the GTS again. Cody escapes it and then tosses CM Punk to win his second Royal Rumble in a row, which was the first since Stone Cold Steve Austin to go back-to-back Rumble wins.
26 years.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but holy
I
cow.
know,
Like that's a stat that'll make you feel old. Um
right?
Holy cow.
That's a whole kid with his own insurance. Old.
Yes. Dang. So Cody, right after winning and stuff, there's a great shot of him like, so he points at the WrestleMania sign, right, and the pyros going off and everything, but then he points up at the skybox that Roman Reigns was looking down on him, and basically lets it be known that he wants Roman Reigns, and he's coming for him, and Roman's,
Yeah.
jawing back and forth with him. Great, honestly, like it was a great end, and clearly the right guy went over. I say that now because hindsight being 2022. Because if Punk would have won, if he was slated to win this and he got injured, that would have been a bigger issue.
Oh yeah.
Because you would have basically had to have done an elimination chamber. You would have had to do another elimination chamber probably to determine a challenger to pick their championship. I don't know how they would have done that, or it would have been a bigger mess. But Cody, this was his time. He was scheduled to win this obviously from before Punk was even thought of to come in. So they didn't change plans based off of that. I thought it was an okay Rumble. It was kind of to me, it was kind of lacking the star power a little bit, because I wish they would have done a singles match with Roman Reigns earlier in the night, and then they could have had like Roman Reigns, or they could have had Randy Orton and LA Knight and whoever else in the Rumble. They could have easily done Roman and AJ Styles in a one-on-one match here. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, AJ took the pin anyway, so they could have done a one-on-one match there. And I think if Randy Orton was in this Rumble, who knows, they could have built to something there. Yeah, I think that would have been interesting, but it was an okay Rumble. It wasn't the best Rumble, and there was very few surprises in this Rumble.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrade and Braun Baker being really the only big surprises, but they weren't that big a
Sami
surprise.
Zayn's return.
Yeah.
So, but they were like, that was the thing to be said about this is save Jordan Grace.
Mhm.
Like everybody was kind of a pseudo expected surprise that came in. So I do feel a little let down on this Rumble, but only a little bit. I think it did its job. It put some people over that need to be put over. It was telling some stories that need to be told. Like this Rumble could help build, would have helped build towards Sammy and Drew at WrestleMania, or possibly a match between Drew and Punk because of the way that Drew was let out or put out before WrestleMania. Like there was stories to be made in this match, and I mean things are going to have to shift now because of everything that happened. But I think it did its job. It's just not going to be memorable outside of the second one that Cody won in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe the hot tag.
Right. And by the way, I am seeing confirmation that the SmackDown announce team is going to be Wade Barrett and Corey Graves. And apparently
Cool.
Corey Graves will now become the lead play-by-play announcer, while Barrett will be the color commentator. So that'll be an interesting change.
That's what I would have had. Like if it had to be the choice between the two. Corey's been doing this a lot longer. Corey actually did it solo in NXT for years. So I think it's the right person.
Yeah, and honestly I see Corey being the person that basically takes over that Michael Cole spot, where I think he's going to be the lead announcer after Michael Cole retires.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Or dies. More likely dies.
Jeez. I mean, we said the same.
As in he's going to keep going until he dies.
We thought the same thing about Vince, but it was just his career that died, or his legacy. Jeez.
Too bad it wasn't his libido. That being said, guys, I want you guys to let us know what your favorite part of the Rumble was. For me, it was definitely the hot tag with R-Truth. I still am laughing at that, but Jordan Grace was a very close second. Let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at Be Hero Media, and then future will be on TikTok as well at Be Hero Media, as well as BeHeroMedia.com for everything that is Be Hero Media. You can also reach out to me directly at Mike Burke Pro on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and Mike Burke DCW on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Mike Burke Pro on Twitter. And lastly, you can reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on the Facebooks. All right, guys. And then before we leave, I just want to go over what is happening with Devotion. This Saturday, which will be February 3rd, we will be having a Heartbreak Showdown in Salt Lake City at Light Tree Studios. Huge show. We are having the returning Marlon Jackson, the second person to
Marlon
ever
Bishop,
hold the
right?
DCW. Sorry, Marlon Bishop, formerly Marlon Jackson, NFL football player. Marlon Bishop will be returning, second person to ever hold the DCW title, and he's on his way back to retrieve that title he lost. And so many more great stuff going on. Also, on February 24th, we will be having Tussle Time in Ogden at Kamikazes once again. And then March 9th, we'll be right back in Salt Lake City for Tussle Time. And that one will be Match Madness with the returning QT Marshall. So, a lot of great stuff coming on Devotion. You can get all your tickets for all of that great stuff at Devotion Championship Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, Devotion Wrestling on TikTok, and DCW Salt Lake at Twitter or X. All right, Psycho. Anything else going on?
No. I mean, just have my cruise coming up. Going to the Caribbean, so that'll be fun.
Have fun with that. I'll be watching the Super Bowl. That being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was fun, and it was long, but we had to go over 2 long Rumbles. So, until next time, guys, I've been Brian, he's been Psycho, and for the rest of Be Hero Media, this is us tapping out. Have a good night, guys.